Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So coming to you today for a kitchen table review, so to speak. Now I just kind of got everything laid out on the kitchen table here. And this video is brought to you by Mr. Big Guns in Huntsville. No, I'm just kidding. They don't sponsor any of my stuff, but I really enjoy going down there. That's my number one go-to place. Mr. Big Guns, Huntsville, Alabama. Go hang out with Matt and those guys. They do an amazing job. I mean, their customer service is top notch. Can't say the same for some of the other places locally, but they're definitely top notch, and they're just there to help answer any questions you have. They're not going to pressure you in any way to go with a certain brand or a certain model, right? Like it's a really good atmosphere. Plus, they've got free coffee. Go in there and get you a cup of coffee. So, but what's really cool, I picked this up from them the other day. This is a Savage 110 Hog Hunter, and it is chambered in the mighty round known as 223 Remington. There we go. So, you know, it's kind of it's almost like an oxymoron, really. A hog hunter, you know, a rifle named Hog Hunter, and then chambered in something like 223 Remington, which you talk to some people and or you hear the opinions on the interwebs and Skynet, like, hey, this is definitely not a hog cartridge, but it can be. You can definitely turn it into one. And this configuration that it's in now, this is not how it's going to stay, because I have a SWFA fixed 20 power scope on it, and it's a little bit funky on the layout here, but it has to be that way just because of the eye relief and where everything lines up, so I can shoot this thing from a bench. So that's why it just kind of looks a little bit off. Ideally, I would rather have it a little more centered between the rings, but it is what it is. So yeah, Savage 110 Hog Hunter, chambered 223 Remington. It's got the AccuTrigger in it, which I have already adjusted down to. I've got it pulling 1 pound 10 ounces. Consistently. I'm using a Lyman trigger gauge on that. And just a nice little handy rifle overall. It's got your threaded muzzle, so that's cool. You can run a can if you want to. And then if you want to take the optic off altogether, it actually has really nice iron sights. Really nice front brass bead up here on the post. Really good set of iron sights on this, so that's actually something, if you wanted to run this in that configuration, I think it would work great. So, or if you wanted to put a rail on it, like a one-piece base, and then maybe put a red dot or something like that, that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Maybe something like a Leupold Freedom RDS, you know, 34 millimeter red dot with a 1 MOA dot, something like that. I think that would probably be a really good setup for this rifle. So, but I want to kind of go over. I've put 50 rounds through the gun. No range footage because I really didn't have a whole lot of time. It takes a lot of time to try to set that stuff up. You know, constantly recording video and then pausing and trying to get all that stuff done, because you guys don't want to sit there and watch an hour long video that includes like 10 minutes worth of shooting, right? Nobody wants to do that. So this was the target. I want to kind of go over what we're looking at here, what was used, because I'm using Starline brass. I picked up 100 pieces of Starline brass. I can't even remember where I got them from at this point. Might have been Grafts, or it might have been Duck Creek Sporting Goods. Can't remember on that. But the bullet that I went with to load those first 50 was this guy. It was the Sierra 50 grain Spitzer. It's their Blitz medium velocity, little varminter bullet. So, and I picked these up from Mr. Big Guns. So look at that little guy, 50 grain flat base bullet. And for the powders, I went with a couple that have performed really, really well for me in the past, and that's H322 and Hodgdon Benchmark. Both of those powders I've had really good luck with. This is the first 223 I've had in a long time in a bolt action configuration. So pretty excited to get back into it. I believe going all the way back, this was the very first cartridge that I ever reloaded, was 223 Remington. And that was in the Ruger American Ranch rifle. That's what it was. One of just an amazingly accurate factory rifle. I mean, did absolutely nothing to the rifle whatsoever. No barrel break-in, no trigger modifications, no nothing. Just left it stock, and the thing shot really well. So I'm returning to the cartridge because it is one of my favorites, actually. Zero recoil. It's just such a fun cartridge to shoot and reload for. But I loaded up both of those powders, and these groups are pretty terrible. So I'm not even going to show the load data because there's really no point. The whole goal was to just fire form some brass. So I shot the first 50 there on this target, missing minus one group because I was trying to get on paper or get on cardboard, I guess, actually. And so our best group was probably this guy right here, but it's really not worth measuring or even exploring this bullet powder combination in this rifle, right? Like I just wanted to use those to fire form. So pretty ugly target. And so now I'm moving on to something different, and the powder that I'm going to be switching to is this stuff, Shooter's World Match Rifle. I'm a really big fan of a powder that it is sort of directly compared to, and that's Accurate 2520. It's very, very similar to Accurate 2520, and I'm a huge fan of that powder in things like 6mm arc, 308, 223, that type of stuff. So picked up 8-pound jug of that, actually split it with my brother, so he's got 4 pounds of it, and I got 4 pounds of it. But I wanted to change to a couple of different bullets. So I switched over to 77 grain Sierra Match King. That's just that, and the 69 grain. Those are like the gold standard for 223 in my opinion. So I loaded up 25 rounds of those. That's these guys here. And again, loaded up every bit of this with the Shooter's World Match Rifle. So loaded up 25 of these. I've only got 2 left, which is a really weird number. I don't know how I managed to pull that off, but I've got 2 left. And then I loaded up 25 of these guys, the 65 grain Game Kings, as far as like a hunting bullet, because these will be used, this rifle will be used to hunt whitetail. I've killed more deer with a 223 Remington than I have any other cartridge. Like for me personally, I've killed more deer with this particular cartridge than any other cartridge. So I want to work up a deer load for it, and the 65 grain Game Kings, pretty solid choice. So I went with that, loaded up 25 rounds as well. So I got to get out to the range and shoot all this stuff. Now, another option, of course, everybody, I mean, if you don't know about the gold dots by now, then you're just not watching YouTube reloading content. I mean, these are amazing bullets, game bullets for sure. Took a, let's see, I've killed a doe with the 120 grain version in 6.5 out of a Grendel platform, and then the AR platform in the 6.5 Grendel. And then my wife killed a doe, same platform with the 120 grain bullet. And then I killed an 8-point last season with the 140 grain version in my 6.5 Creedmoor. So these gold dots are just, I mean, they're amazing. So eventually I want to work up a load with these, but right now we're just kind of casting a wide net a little bit. We're going to try different powders, different bullet combinations, mostly geared toward hunting stuff. So I probably won't have a whole lot of like 77 grain Sierra Match Kings, 69 grain Sierra Match Kings, that type of stuff. Probably won't have a whole lot of content centered around that. It'll be more or less centered around stuff like this 65 grainer, maybe the 55 or the 62 grainer and the 75 for the gold dot. and then something like a 55 grain Barnes. I really want to get some of those 55 grain Barnes tip TSX bullets in as well. I think that would be a great option as a hunting bullet. So that's it. It's really short, sweet video today. I just kind of wanted to get this out there and let you guys chew on it. If you have this rifle, you know, I'd love to hear your feedback on it and what you think about it. I really enjoy the overall, I guess, compact nature of this particular setup, especially in 223 Remington. It's such a fun cartridge to shoot, man. You go to the range, again, 0 recoil, and I've got that trigger pull down to, like I said, 1 pound 10 ounces consistently. It's just so much fun to sit on the bench and shoot. So I'm really looking forward to diving into it, coming up with a good load. Again, these are the first 50 shots through it. I've cleaned it after that range session and came back, cleaned everything, scrubbed it pretty good. So now got to head back out to the range and probably take my time a little bit better than I did on the last session and see if we can get these guys to group pretty good. So one thing I will mention, this SWFA Fix 20, I did a video on it. This is the MOA version. I've had the mill quad reticle version in the Fix 10 before, and I really like that as well. But man, this MOA reticle with the floating center dot, that's really nice. I mean, really precise point of aim with this particular setup. So I'm liking this scope a whole lot for bench work and that type of stuff, trying to work up groups. I like that. I would highly recommend that. Very affordable. You know, I picked it up on sale, it was like 260 bucks. But that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. So you guys be on the lookout for more 223 content. We're kind of resurrecting that cartridge on this channel. So looking forward to that moving forward. Don't forget, run down, go see Matt and those guys at Mr. Big Guns. Tell them Alabama Reloader sent you. And they'll be like, hey, that's great. Now spend your money. So, all right, that's it. We'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good one.